Hello everybody and welcome to our workshop. We're so very grateful that you're here today and made a decision to take action and go through today's workshop and also to improve your lifestyle. Now, the Women's Mentoring Foundation exists to make a difference, but also to address and improve the delivery service for our culturally and linguistically diverse communities. Did you know that Australia is one of the fastest growing multicultural countries in the world today? And there is a huge gap on the stigma provisions that we provide for our people here in Australia. Now, I've been working on the stigma side of things for a number of years, and as much as we try to address what's going on with community leaders, what I found through our research that the gap is actually within the individual. So we can educate, we can go through theory. However, unless that individual accepts and acknowledges that there's an issue, it's very hard for us to provide them with services because it's not going to make a difference. WMF provides a framework for mental health in CALD populations that is specifically tailored to women and young people and offers face-to-face and online support resources. WMF clients are clients of the past and present, build on their strengths and address areas for improvement in a self-paced way. So today's workshop is all about us going through very intimate and personal questions. And because we hold these workshops for a minimum of 5 people to a maximum of 10, it's very, I can say it gets emotional, but it's very confidential. And again, I come back to the intimate because this is a relationship with you. Where do you want to go? We know that many of us here are for a reason. Either we've personally gone through some emotional trauma or grief, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's social. And for many of us in today's day and age, especially following the pandemic, there's a lot of stress caused by financials. Why I say financials is that during that time, it compromised a lot of our incomes, but a lot of the people had to really dig down and go into their savings. And we know with the cost of living, it's increasing. So there's very little opportunity for people to go back and save that saving. So they're constantly living in a worried state of mind. And talking about worry, people think that worry is not mental health. Well, that's absolutely not true, because your smallest worry can start accumulating, and before you know it, it's built up, it's built up, it's built up, and it's become this brick wall, and it's all residing here. And once we get to that stage, it starts impacting people's physiology. So when you're walking in the street or even with your loved ones at home, you might see somebody's physical body being compromised. And what I mean by that is that they're avoiding eye contact. They're constantly looking down, or they're not eating properly, or they're not sitting as they normally used to, or they're not laughing or being their chatty selves. And when this happens, you know, it is up to us just to ask them the question, and we shouldn't be shy about asking, is everything all right? Are you worried about anything? Do you need to have a chat? That comes back to our peer counseling. So we offer a number of services, whether it's counseling, coaching, mentoring. And let me expand on the counseling side of things. So my background's in psychology, even though I did my master's in accounting and tax. And I also practice as a clinical neuropractitioner and a clinical hypnotherapist. And why do we do that is because we want to understand people's behavior and what's contributing to them being worried or being in a position where they have any form of mental health. Now, the greatest gift that the Women's Mentoring Foundation offers is peer counseling. And I, for example, cannot vouch high enough for that. Peer counseling comes from those that have lived experiences. They may not have formal qualification other than the training we give them, but because of their lived experiences, they can truly understand and come with empathy on what everybody else is traveling. And it doesn't matter, because I truly believe that if you've been through any form of grief, you will always come from a level of wanting to help other people, and you're coming from the heart, not just from the head, but you're coming from this desire for them to heal as well. So that's a little bit about WMF, and we're going to be going into the actual program. I'm going to explain a little bit more on the structure of what we do, and we've got a lot of exercises. So in the past, we had 3 separate programs: our Grief Share, our Self-Development, and the Self-Leadership. What we've changed is the focus and the direction to meet a gap here in Australia, where our culturally and linguistically diverse women and young people are growing, yet there are so many barriers where they're finding it difficult to access support. Now, I say that because I've lived through that not so long ago, 3.5 years ago, where I went through some pretty harsh traumas. And it wasn't just that one trauma. I've actually had 7 falls in my life. And if you think about a stone breaking, well, I was broken to sand. And even then I had people stepping on me to make sure I was really grounded and stepped in, and there was no potential of me getting up again. But me being me, I refused to play the victim, and I decided to play the victor. So when this last event happened to me, it really helped me identify just how many women and our youth were falling through the cracks because they didn't have access, or easy access, or even understanding of how can we get support. Now, something simple as Centrelink queues. I used to go and stand in Centrelink queues, especially after COVID, to help people that were standing there. And because of restrictions, Centrelink, for example, I don't know if I should be taking their name legally or not, but it was the truth at that time. People were struggling with the fact that they've lost their job, the businesses were closed, they didn't know what to do, and a lot of these people couldn't even understand the paperwork. So what I used to do with a friend is standing these queues, help them understand. We took a printer, we had coffee, we had biscuits, and we helped them get through. So even before they stepped through that door, they knew what to expect and what to do. Now, if I talk about my own journey, I reached out to a lot of people for support, and hand on heart, I can truly say that I've helped politicians, I've helped the CEOs, the CFOs, I've helped people in the hierarchy as well as the community. And when this happened to me, there was not one person, and this is the truth, God forbid if I ever fake this, not one person said, "Do you need a hand?" Yes, my children were there, without a doubt. The kids have always been there. But when I talk about the external community, for people that don't have kids or other family members, there was absolutely nobody. And it was like as if they're going through a fear of reaching out and saying, "Do you want $10? Can I give you some food? Do you need support in finding help?" Nope, zilts. Hence, this is why the Women's Mentoring Foundation was created. And again, I'm not coming from a place of judgment or criticism, because I believe that when we judge or we opinionate or we criticize, we lose all the ability to influence other people. So I'm just talking about real experiences, and at that time, I saw an increase in suicide rates, I saw an increase in burnout rates, and mental breakdowns. So is everybody okay here that we have confidential conversations?
Yes.
Is everybody willing to open? Brilliant. And is everybody comfortable? Because we want to make sure you're in a good space. Brilliant. All right. So what are the barriers? And I'm going to be reading this to you today. What are the barriers in accessing mental health care for women within our CALD communities? CALD females can experience age, race, and gender discrimination, likely intensified if they identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or intersex. I found that there is a growing need for each person requiring a tailored approach. Firstly, some of the community's cultural and religious traditions may prevent women from speaking up or even speaking about possible mental health or even reaching out and accessing help services. So over the last few years, what I've observed and through our research and conversations in the community is that mental health, can you believe it? Mental health is never spoken about. And people grow up in these environments unaware that they have an issue or that there is an issue at a community level. What's even more shocking is often culture bears on whether people even look to seek help in the first place and what types of help that they need. A lot of people don't even know what they need to help them break through this. The 2006 census found that 23% of Australians' population were born overseas and 16% of Australians speak a language other than English at home. And it's estimated that 23% of Australians aged 65 and over in 2011, many years ago, are CALD background. Now, why do I say these states? Well, because it's real, it's the reality. And the most common barriers include underemployment, culture shock, culture conflict, culture distance, inability to speak the language, housing distress, prejudice, racism, discrimination, traumatic experiences or prolonged stress, gender and intergenerational conflict, economic pressures, breakdown of traditional and family support structures, and much, much more. So the list is never ending, and there's all these things that are happening in our world that truly impact our mental health, our emotional status. Now, in life, everything we do is 80% psychology. So can you imagine the impact if that, even 1% of that psychology is impacted in a negative way, what that's going to cost you? 20% is our state, 20% is the mechanics that we do, our physical, whatever goes on within our torso, our external, but 80% comes from here. That's why mental health issues are a growing concern, not only in Australia, across the globe. Like last night, we had somebody contact us from the UK, desperately seeking help because she was worried about her mental health status. She felt she was stumbling, and she realized that because this was compromised, it's impacting her lifestyle at home, it's impacting how she operates at work. And it's good, she picked it up for herself, and she's reached out and said, I need help. I need whether you give me counseling, coaching, mentoring, self-development, whatever you're giving, I need something and I desperately need help. And that's one courageous woman. She's identified that. So if there was one request that I would be making out to you all here, because I want to congratulate you for being here, you've taken a step. And it's not just about yourself. You're actually going to go out and implement everything that you've healed with other people, right? With your loved ones, with your friends, with your communities. And the only way we can help other people is if we first self-heal ourselves. It's a bit like Alcohol Anonymous. You cannot help somebody that's got an addiction until they accept they have a problem. And I know that because I've had friends as well that have gone through addictions, and it's been a long process. And for some, yes, they got through the other side, and unfortunately for some, they lost their lives. So it was a very painful time for me to witness that. So my friends, if there's one gift that you could give yourself in this life that you're living, is do a self-reflection. Where are you in your mindset? Where are you in your thought processes? Where are you when you're feeling something? Now, I shared this the other day when I did a presentation, that despite all the falls I've had, despite all the hardships and the pain that I've been going through most of my life, not most of my life, but at every avenue there was a fall and I had to pick myself up. I had a choice. Do I end this? Do I continue? And sometimes the pain was so excruciating, I just couldn't understand. Why can somebody be so hurtful? Why are they not respecting me when I'm going out of my way to do everything possible to ensure that they're happy? Why? And I was pretty good at hiding what was going on here. I just stayed happy all the time. And as long as I was meeting the needs for other people and they were okay, I felt I was okay. But the truth of the matter was when I lost everything and I thought, all my life I've been providing for all these people, everybody, literally everybody that was in my circle. And when my time came, not the last one, the 3.5 years ago, but even way back in the UK, everybody took a step back. And it just made me think. So when it happened to me this time, I thought, why is this happening again? Different concept, different scenarios, but it happened again. And what I realized, coming from a cognitive behavioral background in my studies, it's human behavior, and humans are not their characteristics, humans are not their behaviors. We weren't born with all this mean stuff within us. It's just things that we've picked up, whether it's through role models, whether it's through people that we've interacted. Hence, I made a vow to myself probably 20 years ago when I lost my husband, that I would never let anybody in this world compromise my ability to unconditionally love everybody, irrelevant of what's going on. Because I know it's not them, it's the behaviors and the characteristics, or just their attitude. It just means that I don't have to spend time with them. I can go ahead and do myself, my own stuff, but I don't need to go into a negative frame of mind where I'm resenting or hating or, you know, just being critical on somebody else. I don't want to go into that space because I found my purpose, I found my calling, and it exists through this organization. All right, is there any questions before we begin? All good? So we're going to go ahead and do the first question, and you'll get 10 minutes to do this. So the first question is, write any barriers or challenges you have experienced or faced in your life. Now, before you start writing, just go into your heart, close your eyes for a moment, go way back, because our healing can only happen when we really dig deep and we go back to an earlier memory that didn't serve us, and let's start the healing process from there. So you've got 10 minutes to do this.